The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaraya Productions. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tokucast Reviews, episode number 154. Marcus and Jacob here. We just got back from the movie theater. We got out of Marcus's car, and he was like, we're recording this, we're doing this now, I gotta get my thoughts out there. So we are recording this Wednesday night. This might be a first in Tokucast history.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, we bring you our fresh from the theater review of Shin Kamen Rider.
Yep.
Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time this year we've gotten to go to the movies and watch a Toku movie on the big screen.
I do love it.
And I do love being able to do that. Of course, I love movies. I love going to the movies. And
I love not being confused.
Which, fortunately, is something this movie didn't do for you. So, before we begin, I will say, like all of our reviews, this will be a spoiler review, so we will be getting into plot specifics. So, if you do care about spoilers, then leave this one alone, wait till you watch the movie, come back and watch it later.
Yeah.
So, where should we begin?
Okay. So this movie feels like a retelling of the first 13, 14 episodes of the original Kamen Rider up to a certain point. Because Ichimonji is in here, and we sort of have a final boss.
Mm-hmm.
And Shocker, like the head of Shocker, is not a guy who lives on forever. It's just an AI now.
No. I actually liked how they recontextualized Shocker in this movie. Where instead of a evil organization hellbent on world domination, it is a billionaire, like a nutcase billionaire, created an AI that would create happiness for all of humanity.
And bring everybody together.
And bring everyone together, and there will be no war, there will be only peace, and Shocker is what evolved from that. It's what happens when you let like a rogue AI, well, not like a rogue, but like you let an AI like, oh, math says that this will lead to humanity's happiness.
You gave it a goal and it went its own way.
Mm-hmm.
Sustainable Happiness Organization
It's
with
less
computational knowledge embedded remodeling, also known as
Shocker.
It's a very AI name,
which is a name that sounds like an AI came up with.
Because
as far as the acronym goes.
Because what? This movie is a weird movie. And I think a lot of that ends up coming down to its editing.
Go on.
It's very jumpy. Especially for the first half of the movie, it felt like they were doing by the paces on its episodes. Mm-hmm. Like, defeat this monster, defeat this monster, defeat this monster. And
for the first 30 minutes, it definitely feels like that.
Yeah. You got the spider, who obviously was the first one.
Because the movie opens, we open in media res.
Yeah.
And we have, what we later find out is Hongo and Ruriko are on a bike running away from some trucks. And then Hongo, they wreck on the bike. They wind up in a forest. And we get a recreation of the introduction shot from the first episode where we see Kamen Rider for the first time, which I thought was pretty cool. Where he's at, where you hear like the noise and the monsters look, and he's up because it's the spider monster, which in this movie they're called augments.
Yeah,
it's Gata Og as they call Kamen Rider. It's
Bata Og,
yeah, Bata Og, which is grasshopper Og, short for augment, which I thought was a nice modern twist.
Yeah,
and but they look up and there he is. He's up on the hill. He jumps down, and I used this phrase in the car when we were coming back, but anime levels of blood. When he starts, because it's you have the spider og and then you have a bunch of minions. They're there with guns, and Ryder starts fighting them. And when he punches them, just blood spatter everywhere.
You don't expect that much blood to be in the human head, but Lord knows.
Yeah, when Ryder fights minions in this movie, just blood going everywhere. Just
what minions? It's basically sacks of pig blood.
Sacks of fake blood.
That he's just punching through and kicking through and stomping somebody's face in.
He does squash a head at one point, and it's pretty dope.
The action's great. I'll give it that.
It can be great. due to things that I'm sure we'll discuss.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit still in shock from this.
But
the confusion was real. Because after that, you know, Ruko and Hongo are going to meet the professor, aka Ruko's dad, Hiroshi Midorikawa.
And I was right. The professor was played by Shinya Tsukamoto, Japanese director and actor. He directed Tetsuo the Body Hammer, Tetsuo the Iron Man, bunch of other stuff. Yeah, the Killing, Vital. Yeah, famed director and sometimes actor Shinya Tsukamoto. So it was cool seeing him in this.
I'm still trying to actually really process what we just watched.
I also want to bring up the part where because after that fight where he just like destroys the minions, we cut to him inside of like a wooden shack in the woods somewhere, like, you know, on the outskirts of the woods, and we actually see him like pry the mask open, and we see that his face is like
half grasshopper.
It's kind of like, yeah, because it has like, you know, like markings on it, and his eyes are kind of messed up a little bit.
Which is a through line for the rest of the monsters that we end up seeing.
Yeah, and actually, like, when he transforms, when the driver is actually in effect, he gains like some sort of physical transformation on his face as well, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I also... Did you like the fact that he had to actually physically carry the helmet with him everywhere?
Not really. It felt a little burdensome after a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like I sort of just like when he just transforms and the helmet's just there.
What did you think of the suits as a whole in this movie?
I love the addition of the jacket. It felt very The Next in some cases. But I did like the jacket. Jackets are cool.
It kind of because they do give him a long black trench coat. Very you know, Matrixy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a cape but without being a cape.
Yeah.
And they do lose it at, you know, at certain points. It's not like he wears the jacket through the whole movie, but overall not bad. I think Ichimonji's first suit was my favorite.
The one with the darker helmet, the lighter,
the darker helmet,
silver.
the silver, the way they integrated the white. I thought that one looked really good.
Really wish I would have given him his signature gloves. The red gloves.
Yeah, I was okay with them not being there.
I think the only reason why is because even with the white stripes,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little bit hard to tell them apart when they were fighting the Shocker Riders.
I think it was easy because he was the only one with white, and the other ones had like
but everything was so dark. It was like even the white blended.
Well, that was a problem with I think a lot of scenes of this movie is that some of this movie is just way too dark.
Yeah, they need to learn how to film at night.
You can't really... It's not that you need to learn not to film at night, it's that you need to learn to light your scene properly.
Akiba Ranger taught us differently.
You need to light your scene properly, because there's that... getting back to what you said about the editing, I feel like this movie is over-edited. Less in the sense that I feel like it jumps around too much, but more in the sense that I feel like, especially in the first 10 minutes, you feel like every line of dialogue we're cutting to a different angle.
Yeah. And
like Shin Ultraman, I feel like they were cutting to artful angles for artful sake.
Yeah.
I think they were done better in this one than they were in Shin Ultraman, though. Because Shin Ultraman, there were angles where it was like, we're framing on the, you know, head of their, you know, the task force, but like, we're doing it through but like the camera is focusing on him through the hands of two people who are standing next to each other, and it's like, what even is that? And then in this one,
like, guys, dodge angle, Kage, listen. They just start screaming for half an hour as they start just going like this with the camera.
That happens in the last fight in particular. Shaky cam is a big problem.
You think we would have left that with Born Identity, but nope.
Here's the thing. In the Bourne movies, the ones that Paul Greengrass directed, I think it works. Because they give you all the information that you need.
But I also feel like, I guess it just depends on which way you're looking at it. Because I never feel like I can really, when shaky cam like that, especially when it was really bad back in the day, I never feel like I can really focus on the action.
Well, that's the thing. In the Jason Bourne movies, the way he positions what's in frame, you can tell that, like, okay, I can tell that, like, this fist is going into this towel. This fist is going into that face. I can tell, like, he gives you just enough information
I hate it still.
that you can tell what's going on.
I really do.
This,
from an action direction standpoint.
I mean, did you watch the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes movie?
No.
Because this is kind of the same thing that movie had.
After the second G.I. Joe movie that we saw in college.
I remember. I was there.
I didn't watch it.
I don't blame you. But getting back to this, this is just like holding the camera and just doing this with it.
Yeah.
We're like locked on a medium shot of two guys like awkwardly stumbling or falling over each other on the ground.
It turns into like basically a mixture of judo, sumo, aikido, and bullshit.
But it's not well shot.
No.
That is just the cinematographer holding the camera and just doing this. Just this.
It was weird because you couldn't focus on anything.
You can't focus. They're trying to have a conversation, and it's like, why
Ichimonji's over here with his arms broken.
Yeah. But a fight scene I did like was the fight scene between...
There were two are like...
There was a couple that I think are good.
Two that really stand out to me. And one was with the Hornet, who was...
The Wasp, yeah.
Rudy's friend. I really like that one with the super speed near to the middle of the movie.
I liked the way they animated it because for some of it's CG, and they're fighting on a roof. And she's moving so fast, and because I loved her costume.
Her costume was amazing.
Her costume was great.
10 out of 10.
The like the honeycomb pattern on like the undershirt and the way
was like light waves.
That was like light waves, and it was reflective, and it looked really nice.
Yeah.
The helmet looked really good.
So when they were fighting, it left like light tracks.
Yeah, so it left light tracks, and because she's moving so fast that it almost kind of looks like stop motion.
Yeah,
because it's like they're moving so fast that it's like. They move so quickly, and then like they pose here, and then they move really fast, and they pose here again to like block another sword.
That was such a cool stylistic choice for that fight scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really wish that more of the movie was things of that nature.
But like, yeah, the whole like the Wasp is something that I wish was explored more.
I feel like it needed to be explored more
because she has like a colony in the sense that she can control other people.
That was such a cool scene when they were walking through the city and the people were lining up,
and everyone is just like lining in neat little lines, like 4 lines of people that are just like gradually forming behind them as they make their way through this like little town area.
That was so creepy, and I loved it.
It was creepy because like I didn't even notice it until Hongo stopped because it was like fading into the background, and then he stops, and then like he looks behind him, and it was like, oh. Yikes.
And I was like, hold on, there are like a lot of people in lines behind him. What's happening?
It was like surprise street performance. It's like, oh, I'm not a fan.
It was crazy.
I feel unsafe.
It was crazy.
But yeah, like Wasp's lair, I love the art direction there. I love
with all the swords on the wall.
The swords on the wall, and they weren't hilted. They were all just like, it was just like the blade part, like just the stinger of the Wasp, which I thought was cool. And I like how all her henchmen are dressed in those yellow suits.
Yeah.
Just like the uniform yellow and black everywhere. It just looks so good.
There was an earlier scene with the bat where he's like hanging upside down and all those people in her clothes.
Yeah.
And clapping and
they're all hunched over because they're shot from the back a lot of times.
Well, actually, there's a scene
when they are shot from the back, it looks like they're headless.
Yeah.
Because of the way they're hunched over.
And there's a scene earlier where you see all of them walking in.
Dude, that scene freaked me out.
That
scene freaked me out. Because it just like cuts to the security cam footage, and it's like no faces, just like black hair covering a face, wearing her clothes, and they're all hunched over, and they're just kind of like walking like zombies.
And then the clapping
in uniform, they're all clapping. I will say some of this on the nose dialogue, bad. Pandemics are great.
I was thinking like,
and then Hongo, pandemics are bad, and I'm just sitting here like, oof, mood. Anyway, although it might not be my favorite bit of on the nose dialogue in the movie, which is when he's fighting Spider, who says, quote, "Oh darn." I am vulnerable. It's like his first line of dialogue is, "Oh darn, I am at a disadvantage in the air," and then he gets rider kicked. We get our first rider kick.
There were no rider punches in this. That's in the theme song. How dare they?
Well, rider jump is, rider punch isn't.
They should have still done it. That was Ichimonji's thing. They never rider punched.
True.
I want my rider punch. To be fair, we can't all be V3 and his 83 secrets.
Yeah, true.
But still, where's my rider punch?
I mean, I did love the rider kicks.
Yeah, they were
I
great.
did love the rider kicks. I love Bat's death when he's like, "Aha! You can only jump 66 meters into the air. You are at a disadvantage." Ha! And he's flapping away. One of his wings is broken, and Cyclone, he gets on the bike and just like rockets up into the air and is like, "Nope, saith unto thee, rider kick, you're dead."
I clapped.
I clapped when I saw it.
We got to talk about the fight when Ichimonji first shows up after her brother, who was the butterfly.
Who is our final boss?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Sorry.
When Ichimonji first shows up, his personality, he automatically really brought this episode up. We didn't talk about one other thing though that happens before that actually. Scorpion.
Oh God.
The best part of this movie, hands down.
Got the biggest laugh out of the theater.
She was great. She was just so over the top.
She was very over the top, mixing English and Japanese. She is very much the sexy bad girl. And she's in like a limousine or something, watching something on a screen, some henchmen with on the good side. Because earlier in the movie we meet two characters who we later find out are Tachibana and Taki.
Yeah.
Taki, who was played by Shin Ultraman.
Yep.
So they show up, and one of them is with public security, one of them's with the intelligence, and troop of their guys are there. You got a platoon of guys. They've all got machine guns, and Scorpia like kicks her way out of her limo and starts killing fools, like cutting people up with her high heels, stabbing them with her scorpion tail, slashing them with her scorpion claw, and then her her girl squad wearing like one piece
the shocker outfits,
shocker outfits and fishnets. And they
have shields.
They have shields, but they all get unceremoniously gunned down at one time. And then she gets surrounded by bad guys, and she's like, so this is it then. And then it cuts to off screen, Tachibana and Taki watching a computer, and you just hear gunfire and her screaming, and then you hear like a thump as she falls over, and they're like, "Well, she's dead. You killed her off screen by shooting her with regular bullets."
We assume regular bullets.
I'm assuming they're regular bullets.
And then her poison gets harvested, and they end up shooting.
That's how they kill Wasp. That's how Taki winds up killing Wasp.
Yeah. And then after that, we end up finally meeting her brother, which really came out of nowhere. She didn't mention him at the beginning of this movie.
No, neither did the professor.
Which bothers me. I'm sitting here like, I feel like if that's going to be your
primary final boss, like that's your main antagonist, that's who's blocking us at the end.
You gotta say something with him at least a little bit, well actually a lot earlier, because it's like they mention him, he shows up in a dream, and then they're fighting him.
You see, earlier in the movie, when we get our first look at Shocker Base, at that like the big empty black room with the throne in it, it's K. We have the android K, who is a later version of the AI,
yeah,
which is
basically
the thing that created Shocker.
The AI can't leave, but K is sort of like his eyes, and ears and stuff.
Yeah, and so we see him talking to something, which I'm thinking is maybe because it's like that face. There's like the face. There's like a human face in like some sort of nebulous silver white screen or something.
I'm fairly sure the face is I.
That's probably I. And you never see him again. We never see I again after that.
We end up seeing
if it's
K
meant to be him. K is just kind of like in the background observing.
And Ruriko's always happy to see him.
I mean, yeah.
She must like him a lot.
Why not?
I sort of don't blame her. He seems like a nice guy. But
he's just there to observe.
Yeah.
He doesn't come across as malicious. He's just like there to do whatever it is that he's tasked to do.
Yeah. This movie has a video game coming out at some point later on this year. I forgot about that. It'll be coming out here too. Anyway.
Well, shoot. Where were we? Meeting Butterfly. Ichimonji shows up.
And then they go. Ichimonji, Ruriko goes up to her brother, just like, I'm going to
Peripheralize.
Yeah, peripheralize.
Peripheralize.
Stop you from putting people into this heaven that you want people to go to that just basically just takes their minds away.
It takes their souls away, essentially.
Yeah.
It's essentially a soul stealing, which in this movie is called Prana.
Not Prada. Not the fashion line.
Not Piranha the fish.
Just Prana.
Prana. So all living things are composed and have prana. It is this movie's
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium, the Force, Ki, whatever you want to call it.
I really, really hate made up energy sources like this because after a little bit, with how often they say it, it doesn't mean a damn thing. But I hated this movie.
So yeah, prana is like every individual person has a prana or a spirit, if you will.
Life energy. Whatever the hell.
But anyway, like that's like they explain that as like the thing that is giving him his power as well. Like Kamen Rider, that's what's giving him his power.
Along with the rest of them. And I really don't like that. That's legitimately my least favorite thing about this movie. What is prana? Why is prana so important?
It's what binds us all together.
You could have just gone with anything else but some made up BS unobtainium level of this.
I love unobtainium.
I hate it so much.
I love that.
I despise that.
I love it.
This is just like, why?
But they meet Ichimonji, and Ichimonji immediately feels like
a character that honestly doesn't belong in this movie.
I would say that more about Scorpio than anything else, but because he feels very different than the characters we've met thus far. Because for most of the movie, we are with Hongo and Ruriko, and the two of them mostly converse in monotone, like quiet tones. Everything is like that's every conversation.
Who are
with
you?
them.
Why are you here?
Pretty much. It's like that's like every conversation with them. And then Ichimonji comes along the screen. You described him as very finger guns.
Phew.
He's very, like he's
very that guy.
There's much more energy. And then he and, because then Ruriko and it's like, well, we're outmatched. Time to flee for now. So Ruriko and Hongo, they run away. And then they get stopped by Ichimonji. And then he and Hongo have a really good fight. I think they have a really good fight.
Probably the best one in the movie.
Probably. My favorite scene in this movie is this great one-take shot. It's one of the only shots in the movie, one of the only scenes in the movie where you really get the sense of scope that feels like, yes, this was meant to be seen on the big screen.
Like, it feels like this is how high they're jumping.
And yeah, because it's this one-take shot of the two of them. They do like, the anime thing where like they'll run side by side and then like they'll clash with each other. But it's like they're running in like, like a factory complex.
Yeah.
They leap into the air, they clash, throw a few punches, and then they land back down, do a little more running, jump, clash, and it follows them.
They slide down a tank.
Oh yeah, they land on a tank and they slide down it. Sound design's great and it looks great and it's
very good.
It looks so good. It sounds great, and I'm just like,
great part.
Yes,
great part.
This was meant to be seen on the big screen, and it made me so happy. And it ends with Ichimonji breaking Hayato's leg.
Yeah.
In a way that made me go, ugh.
Well, Ichimonji breaking Hongo's.
Yeah, sorry, what did I say?
Hayate, which is Hayate Ichimonji. He broke his leg.
Hayato Ichimonji, sorry.
Yeah,
but
he broke his own leg.
He breaks Hongo's leg, and it's, he lands on the ground like chest first.
Yeah.
In a way that really just made me go, ugh. And then like it cuts to him, and you see his leg, and it's like bent out of shape.
It's the wrong way.
And it doesn't look, it's like, nope, I don't like that. But then Ruriko gets stabbed by
the first triple augment.
No, it's a double. Chameleon and Prince.
Well, he says triple in the movie.
Does he?
Yeah, he says...
Because he's only 2.
He's also human. So I guess they're counting that.
That's dumb.
Mantis
and Chameleon.
And human.
But anyway, he has the invisibility cloak on loan from Harry Potter that he uses to make himself invisible, and he takes it off, and he's like, "Wah!" And
I'm doing this for Spider Senpai.
For Spider Senpai, he does say Spider Senpai,
yeah. After
because
frees
Ruriko has previously paraphilized Ichimonji, freed his Prana, and now he is free to think for himself again. He is free from Shocker's brainwashing, and he kills the other augment in spectacular fashion in a great moment where he kicks him into a bunch of like big concrete dividers with such force that they all fall down like dominoes.
Not the perfect place for Rider Punch. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was still cool. But then that happens, and
Ruriko dies, and Hongo cries. She put her will into his helmet.
Yeah, she put her Prana into his helmet and like left recordings in there for him to see, which does lead to I think a pretty good shot because like honestly that scene, my brain just kind of turned off.
Same.
Because it's just like, you know, that's just like a head-on shot of her like looking into a camera and being like, I am leaving this recording for you, Hongo, do things. And
you look really good in that muffler I gave you.
Yeah.
Which I think she just baptizes people into the Riderhood.
She's got one for everybody. She paraphilizes Ichimonji and is like, here is a red scarf.
Riderhood
for you.
Riderhood the traveling muffler.
But that does lead to a great shot because he's standing on a beach with there's like a factory in the background, beach all around him, and it's a sunrise or a sunset, but it's like a gorgeous like wide shot of him like standing on the beach crying and clutching his helmet. Good stuff there.
Yeah. He goes off to fight Shocker again, and after Hayato leaves and Hayato's looking at him from a bridge driving, he's like, "Well, I guess I'll come with you." I guess
because this was another thing I didn't like. It's like they have a scene where the two of them meet up, and it's like, "Will you fight with me?" No. And then he rides off, and then it's like, "Well."
He's like, no, I'm going to fight Shocker my own way. And then like 5 minutes later...
I'm going to fight it on my own. And then 5 minutes later, Hongo is driving off to meet... To go face down the butterfly augment. And then Ichimonji is just on a bridge watching him and is like, well... Can't be helped, and just goes off after him.
Good thing he did, because then they fight the Shocker Riders, which, in all honesty, that scene where they're like actually driving on the motorcycles and there's like a wave of riders behind him, I thought that was such a cool scene.
It was, again, a little too dark, but I did like how
they sort of did that one on purpose, though, because the headlights
and also the lights on the eyes.
Yeah.
I also liked how they incorporated like actual motorcycle racing techniques into this, because like the way they lean over to like steer. If you've ever seen like professional motorcycle racing, that's what they do to get around corners. They like lean all the way over and they get really low to the ground. And because they have like protective padding and like plates and whatnot. And sparks will come off, and like, it's like, I would never do that, but like, it looked cool to see that implemented in the movie.
And then CGI fest for a bit.
Yeah, CGI hard to see fest, and they fight the Shocker Riders, which we do get a look at one of their faces under the mask.
It's so grotesque.
It does look appropriately grotesque. I think it's like they look like monstrous, and I like that.
It was really good. It was a really good shot. It was unexpected, and I think that I really appreciated that more. Mm-hmm. Especially because they whittled them down, because in the 1971 Rider, there were only 6, and at the beginning there were 8. Mm. But Hongo kills 2 of them before they end up fighting the other 6, and Ichimonji saves him. Mm-hmm. Then we get to the end of this movie.
Yeah, so we get a very long, drawn-out scene where because like they have to get the butterfly's mask off. Which do you want to talk about Butterfly's suit first?
It looks like he's Kamen Rider Zero at that point.
Kamen Rider Zero, yeah.
It looks like it has the double typhoon, so it's like they sort of played with the idea of doing V3.
Mm-hmm. Maybe for the sequel, if they get one, who knows?
But the entire scene is basically him just having superpowers for part of it.
Yeah, because
super superpowers, because he could just control light.
Prana. He has like something Prana powers, and something. He beats the crap out of the 2 of them, but then they're like, we can't lose yet, so they don't. We have to get
Ichimonji's like, do you have any idea how to beat this guy? And Hongo's like, yeah. Ichimonji's like, what?
You could have told me that before we started this.
They're like, yeah, we just gotta get his mask off.
That was a pretty fun, but yeah, they have to get his mask off, and then they succeed in that because Ichimonji headbutts it off of him, which is pretty dope. And then they put Hongo's helmet, puts his mask on Butterfly, and then because the sister's Prana is in there, he feels it, and he's like, oh no, I did bad things.
I felt like at that point, you honestly could have gone a different route with V3. It's almost like they wanted to set that up, and then just decided to kill them both instead. It felt like because you almost could have had it where he becomes good.
So after that, like he goes, Kamen Rider Zero Butterfly, he goes and he sits on his broken throne that was going to steal all the prana and take all of the souls and prana of humanity to the habitat.
But both Hongo and Ichimonji sent their bikes and destroy it.
Yes, they destroyed it before the fight. And Zero looks at Hongo's driver and he's like, you expended too much prana fighting me. If you don't leave, you'll die. And Hongo says, I know. Okay. And he's like, yes, I know. I have accepted that.
He says, I bet. And that's pretty much the end of that.
And then he and Zero both die.
And it's like...
They die. They turn to foam and they die.
Ooh, apparently with a Little Mermaid up in this piece. Relevant with the movie being out. But it made no sense. It made negative sense. I hated this scene.
So he's like, if you don't leave, you'll die. That tunnel they were fighting in was apparently as long as the runway in Fast and Furious 6. It was like 20 miles long. Like, if he leaves the room right now, if he walks away from this zone right now, like, that's a little confusing. And then he just dies. He just dies. He used too much prana. He died. It
makes negative sense because they could have just left. All three of them probably.
Apparently, but like Ichimonji watches it happen and then he's like, and he runs and then he leaves.
But Hongo put his prana in his helmet.
So he takes that and
makes a new helmet.
He gets a new helmet and he gets a new suit that's closer to his classic suit from the 70s show.
Yeah.
And this is also where we get the reveal that the two agents were Tobe Tachibana and Taki, which, like, hearing you in the theater go, when because it's like, what are your names? Oh, we're just nobodies. And Ichimonji says, no, I don't trust people who don't tell me their names. And the public security agent is like, I'm Tobe. And the other one is like, I'm Taki. And I was like, okay, so they were there all along. That's kind of a cute Easter egg. I like that. And then he gets like the new costume with a much brighter helmet this time around.
And Hongo's like talking to him in his hand.
Because both Ruriko and Hongo's prana is in the helmet. It's like, and now we can go keep fighting Shocker together because Tobe mentions there's a Cobra Og that's been spotted and
gotta go fight Shocker.
And then the black bars start to come down as the cameras it's like a helicopter shot as we're following Ichimonji riding off, and that's it. That's the end of the movie.
I like parts of this movie, but as a whole picture, this movie is a bit of a mess. The first half of it is really fast, and it's like you got 3-4 monsters to fight, and it just sort of keeps happening over and over again. Like, you just gotta stop them, and that's all that Ruriko knew. She didn't know about any new ones.
Yep.
So that's why she got stabbed by the mantis toboggan. And I just don't know about the rest of this. This movie is sort of a mess.
When Ruriko and Hongo go to confront Butterfly for the first time, that was the moment I looked at my phone, which is never a good sign. I mean, not that I pull my phone out of the movies, but I sneak it in my pocket. I'm like, okay, what time is it? How much time has passed? I look, and it was like dead around the hour mark. It was like an hour, 5 minutes since the movie had started, and there was a little moment of horror of like, oh no.
Halfway through is when Ichimonji shows up.
We still have an hour to this thing to go.
Halfway through is when Ichimonji shows up.
Yep.
This movie is a bit of a mess, in my opinion.
I would agree. It's a bit of a mess.
Jacob and I have different opinions about the ending. I don't feel like this movie is done. Shocker wasn't dealt with. You just dealt with a strong one. Now what? Hongo's dead. Now what?
I feel like for the story the movie is telling, it's wrapped up. If they want to pursue more in a sequel, they've left the door open for that. But for this chapter of the story, I think I think it was wrapped up fine.
It just feels really messy to me. It feels real messy. I'm not a fan with it feeling like a soccer player. Football.
There are parts that I definitely think are messy. Overall, I think this movie is okay.
I think it's okay.
I think it's okay overall.
And it's always good to see something like this in an American theater.
I gotta say, that was probably the best part of it.
Yeah.
Was the fact that you and I got to go to a movie theater and, like Shin Ultraman, we got to see this on the big screen, but unfortunately, I don't think it takes advantage of its cinematic format.
No, it doesn't.
Here's another thing I want to bring up, and I don't know if you noticed this or it bothered you at all. This movie is very sparse in terms of its sets and its use of negative space. There are a lot of scenes where it'll just be like there will be like two characters in a room. And there will be there's so much space.
You never told me.
No, I didn't. There's like so much negative space in the room in a way that feels like they're artificially ballooning the scope.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And then, we saw Shin Ultraman earlier this year. That scene where he's, fighting the monster at the dam and he does Ultra Spin and he's blocking the horn. You really get a sense for how big everything is. The only time you really get a sense that that I felt they were really taking advantage of cinematic language, there were a couple scenes. One was the fight with
Wasp.
The fight with Wasp.
Wasp.
The fight with I think the fight with Wasp. I think Wasp's like lair in general. The scene where they were walking and like the lines of her behind them.
Now that I think about it, really reminded me of like Odin Ishii from Kill Bill.
Dude, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, especially at the end when she,
her and the other guy,
when she like kind of like takes part of her kimono off and we reveal like the honeycomb pattern garment she's wearing underneath, and like it is straight up like Showdown at the House of Blue Leaves. I was like, this is straight out of Kill Bill. I'm kind of here for it. Yeah. But
When we left, I said that was a movie.
That was the first thing you said to me was that was a movie, and I said. That is a fact. That is an objectively true statement that this was in fact a movie.
But I'm honestly glad that we got our thoughts out here. This is such an odd duck. Odd grasshopper. Odd bata.
Indeed.
I don't got anything.
I think that'll about wrap it up, yeah. I think I've said all I need to.
Next time. We're going back to Sentai with Den Ziman. Very excited to do that one because I've been watching it and I've been quite enjoying myself.
So you've been telling me.
Yes. So don't forget to join us all the things. If you saw Shin Ultraman, let us know in the comments below. If you haven't and are waiting to see it, because I know there's another showing coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Wait until then, watch this video, and then come back and tell us what you thought.
Please do.
Don't forget to join us all the things. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.